Alastor is filled with a ton of questions. The biggest one is who owns the radio demon. We know that they need to be one of the most powerful characters in the show. The connection to Alastor is mysterious, and it may link to what makes heaven and hell work. The suspects are few, but could be big in the future of Hazbin Hotel. So let's start things off with the most common one being discussed at this moment.
You understand me, Lilith?
Lilith as a whole has been the biggest mystery outside of Alastor himself. The most we know about her is that she was one of the main reasons for Hell's existence. What's intriguing is that the whole time she was vibing in heaven for 7 years. So how does this information have to deal with Alastor? Well, prior to appearing out of nowhere to offer his services to the hotel, he also had an absence from Hell for 7 years, presumably after losing a very close battle with Vox. So with that 7-year absence connection, one could easily pair these two together as they both went into hiding for that period of time. The theory on this one is that Lilith may have seen a young, ambitious overlord in Alastor and how quickly he was rising through the ranks from defeating countless of overlords in a fast pace. So when the battle against Vox ends with Alastor on the run, barely alive, Lilith was probably in the vicinity and made her move. A deal was struck out of desperation, Alastor's soul in exchange for a place to reside until he's at full strength. Which, if that were true, he may have been in heaven prior to his return to Hell. Considering how we know that Lucifer and Lilith have presumably the ability to go to heaven on a whim, I think Lilith bringing someone with her to heaven shouldn't be ruled out. However, there could possibly be another person who may have that ability as well, who is the most obscure character that is yet to be introduced fully.
Together, they wish to share the magic of free will with humanity, offering the fruit of knowledge to Adam's new bride, Eve, who gladly accepted.
Eve is someone that we have little to no information on outside of being seen as a victim within the story of Hell's beginnings, with her being lured into consuming the forbidden fruit and opening the darkness. It may have completely consumed her. This is purely speculative, but I can easily see that Eve becomes the first demon to enter the world of Hell as the first sinner. I think it would be interesting that she would be the first of many things within this realm, including being the first overlord. Since overlords meet up to discuss the status of Hell, since they contain a ton of influence, I can see Eve thinking she is a class above them. Though I think with that mindset and the influence she could bring, there's a possibility where she encounters Alastor and can see a lot of herself within him, both being very ambitious and wanting to be the big shot in Hell. So a deal could have been struck between the two, his soul for intel on how to defeat other overlords. With that deal, Eve could force Alastor into aiding her in taking out the ones that sent her to Hell in the first place, Lilith and Lucifer. It is a big risk for Alastor to take, but if we're going with his disappearance, I could imagine that his ambition could cloud his judgment of what he was getting into with Eve in this theory. 7 years is a long time, and I do believe that Alastor's drive can end up being one of his greater weaknesses. With Eve and Alastor being two sides of the same coin, he would be desperate to get out of the deal altogether, so that he could be known as the most powerful overlord in Hell. It's a theory that is out of the box, sure, but I do think it's possible and would add an interesting spin to a character yet to be explored and give Alastor another rival for the title. Though there is one more thing we shouldn't rule out as well, that could possibly be even more insane. What if Alastor made a deal with an angel?
I never would have agreed to your yearly activities if I thought it would bring trouble to our doorstep. Keeping heaven safe was my only reason for allowing it.
So angels within this story are seen with a lot of corruption and or ignorance when it comes to their morals and beliefs on how to judge a soul. We know that for the origin story is that angels commit a yearly genocide to make sure of two things: making sure the population stays down and prevent a rebellion from happening to avoid an all-out war. The fear of that occurring is incredibly high for them, so having other avenues to not only keep an eye on demons that are very powerful, but also keep tensions high to diminish any chance of resistance, which meant that a deal could be made where an angel could give a soul a power boost in order to dispatch opposing overlords quickly. It's a great plan for an angel to pull, as it could cause a lot of infighting and keep overlords on their toes from each other, and that is the perfect role for Alastor to be in. As we have known, he was able to dispatch overlords at an alarmingly fast rate, and I can easily see that being the case where an angel had made that same sort of deal with multiple overlords for them to fight for the top spot in hell. The only angel that could possibly fit that mold right now is Sarah. After all, she's not the biggest fan of the extermination itself, but she is the only one outside of Adam, Lut, and the other Exorcist angels that know about the yearly bloodbath. With her concerns of keeping the chance of a rebellion to be low, she would have the motive to be able to give a damned soul some power. As a matter of fact, Sarah could have Lilith work with her on recruiting certain demons to embark hell with chaos, preventing them from uniting. The angels are very big on political stability on their end, and have proven to stop at nothing in order to always have the upper hand against hell. So it would make sense to want to acquire souls of the damned and use them for their personal goals. The patriarchy of angels like Sarah pulling the strings, while Lilith being the middleman to obtain powerful souls to be used as pawns to continue the infighting between other demons, can be possible. As for Alastor, I can see him only taking the deal to get a strong standing within hell. Though, with his desires for control, not only will he want to break out of the deal, but also take control for himself into possibly ruling all of the afterlife. But hey, that's just a theory.